you know, scale up in the Women's Business Development Center. There's only so many reunions, and how can we make it different and interesting, right? So before we go into something kind of technical and hard for people to understand, and how do you connect the dots, and how does this apply to me, all those things kind of come into mind. That's what I thought about with cybersecurity, being at a data center. I thought, let me bring in Kent, right? Jasmine met Kent at a networking event at the chamber, and I thought, let's have Kent kind of do a nice little icebreaker and a presentation. So I'll introduce Kent Johnson, and I'll let you take it away. I won't say too much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Scale Up, for inviting me to be here. It's very good to be here. My name is Kent Johnson, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I've made a lot of very stupid decisions in my life. And boy, are they starting to pay off. And I'm not talking about the clothing choices that I've made here today. Okay, that's a separate thing. But at the beginning of the year, as I kind of parted ways with my employer, I thought, well, maybe I could take advantage of a talent that I have that I've been using for the last 40 years or so, and make a living of it. So I'm on the very early road that many of you have already come quite a ways on and are doing well, and actually have to kind of be doing well to even have gotten involved with Scale Up. Yep. So that's exciting, and I'm not worthy, but I'm so glad to be here, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. I branded myself as that Cube guy, so that might give you a little hint about what it is we're going to talk about. But I brought a friend with me who's going to maybe help explain what I do. Her name is Ruby K, and I do this quite a bit with students, so that's the get up and the box and the hat. Kids love it, but I thought, well, I'm going to do some of the kids stuff for you guys too. So Ruby's in here, and if we ask nicely, she might come out. So let's see, where is she? Oh, well, there's my lunch. And, my second lunch. And there's my this is my speed timing hat, my timing hat. We'll use that later. But she seems to have slipped out. Listen, if you can look around and see if there's a Rubik's Cube on the ground somewhere, if you can point to it and let me know. I'm going to need it here if we're going to. So the kids, of course, freak out, and they're pointing right at it. She's right there, and I look, and nobody here. When I do this presentation for college kids, they're so sure I'm going to pull a ventriloquist dummy out.
Right.
That I see it on their faces, you know, like, oh no, he's pulling out a ventriloquist dummy. But this, of course, is just so much better. I've been solving the Rubik's Cube since it came to our high school, Wheaton Central. It's 1980, and have been solving it under a minute ever since then. If you Google my name and the contest, you'll find me in 3rd place in Chicago. So that was the end of my career solving the cube quickly. But I have since then used it in church settings, in school settings, in business settings substantially. In the last 10 years, I've used it selling enterprise software, just here and there as kind of a fun way to open a sales pitch. Open a meeting.
Are you going to demo it?
So
60 seconds?
Maybe we'll do it, I don't know. But,
yeah, right.
Recently I had a chance to visit 4th graders in Warrenville at Bauer Elementary, if anyone knows Warrenville. And I had bumped into an old junior high classmate, started talking, and she invited me to come, and it was great. So I visited the 3 classes right in a row. I did 40 minutes for each class. I talked about fractions. And when I came to the last class and I opened the door, this little 4th grader, how old is a 4th grader? 10. Little 10-year-old boy turned to me. So he turned to me, he's got his cube in his hand, big grin, he says, "You don't know how long we've been waiting for you." That was the moment I knew that's what I want to be doing. So I can do trade shows, I can do meetings like this is great. But to have a 10-year-old look at you and say that melted my heart. You know, I was lucky to get the rest of my presentation done after hearing that. But I want to say the same thing is true here, because we're all on a road, but all of you have, in a sense, already made it. You've been in a successful business, and I want to say welcome. We're so glad you're here, that you finally made it, and you can say that to each other. Isn't it great? We've reached a level of success. We won't assume it from here on out, but today, right here for these few hours we're together, we can pat each other on the back and say, we've come so far, we've made it. And we have lots to learn, but congratulations. You don't know how long we've waited. I know the one thing that you're all saying is, Ken, can you really solve that stupid Rubik's Cube? Will you hurry up and do that? That's all we really care about. And let's get on with that. So does anybody have a stopwatch on their computing device that's in their pocket?
I do.
That would be great.
Just get this going, hold on.
Young lady, I don't know if you've ever touched a Rubik's Cube or anything, but if one of you could just make sure it feels kind of scrambled, that'd be great. And we'll go ahead and we'll have some fun. I'll solve it so you can believe that I really do. And I'll often say, yeah, it takes me about 45 minutes to solve. But if I just keep blabbing and telling and talking and having fun, you know, it's done, you know, and people don't realize that, yeah, it took me the whole 45 minutes, but that's not true. So what I'll do is I'll do a little tutorial. We'll time it, but, so I need to wear my timing hat, by the way. It's very important. So I'm finding out the kids love hats, so I'm adopting a lot of new hats. So I'm going to solve it for you, but I'm going to take you a walk through how I do it real quick, and we'll just kind of see what I do. So first,
do you want me to time it or no?
Oh, you say on your mark and say go.
On your mark, get set, go.
Okay, so what I do is, since it's a math-related thing, I solve a plus sign on the top as a tribute to mathematics. And so there we can see I've solved the plus sign. Can you see the plus sign?
Oh, yeah.
Very important. Now, in my early days, I would now solve the next level. But while after 2 years after I'd solved it the first time, I began solving it a different way. And now I'm going to solve the two levels at once. And this is an interesting thing for business. A lot of times in business, rather than just focusing on one thing, sometimes there are pairs of things you can do together that you learn at scale up, that if you do them together, it's more efficient and better. I don't know what any of those things are, but apparently that's what they tell me. So I'll go ahead and do that real quickly here. So now you can see I've solved the block in one corner, and we'll I love when people say, "Oh, it's awesome."
So obvious.
So yeah, you all know that this is nothing but about ego. It has nothing to do with teaching kids about math. It's more about getting laughs and having a good time. So now we've solved the bottom two layers, and you'll hear the word algorithm used a lot, and the real algorithms are applied here. This top layer, you have to solve it without messing up the rest of the cube, and that, of course, is the hard part. And I said this these fourth graders. At one point I said, you know, what are the things we use to solve the Rubik's Cube? You're timing it, and I'm talking, so I'm gonna, you know. And kids are saying hammers and bombs, you know, and your fingers. And this one little quiet girl, I saw her, she went. Later I asked the teacher, you know, the little girl is, she goes, oh yeah, she's the quietest and the smartest in the class. I'm like, yes, she is. So can I close my eyes yet? Probably not. No, I'm gonna have to open. Sorry, no I can't, all right. So, stop. Here we go. Okay, we'll have an opportunity. We'll do one more timing at the end.
Wow.
I'll pull out my speed cube, because this is larger. So if we divide by a third and add, so it was more like 12 seconds, really.
Wow.
So, all right, now, where's my magnet? By the way, there's nothing more distracting than the fact that this thing hangs here on my belly. And so I have to at some point talk with the kids about, do you know how a Rubik's Cube works? And you know, and then magnets, of course, at that point. Is there magnets inside? And I'm like, well then, but all the Rubik's Cubes in the world would stick together. That probably isn't it, you know, but they can't get there. And some classes it's magic. And I leave it at that. And the teachers later will email me that that's a problem, because they really think there's some magic going on. But I've glued a magnet in the face of the Rubik's Cube. There's a hole there. And I glue it in there, and then I have a name badge like this, only here, with a magnet in it. And there it is. Now I will tell you the greatest thing of all. This is the greatest networking tool when you go to networking events ever invented. People come across the room to me to talk to me, and I say I do K-12 presentations, talking about math and science. I work with SciTech and do those presentations. But I also have technical partners who want to sponsor me in schools and who I sell their software. And so be aware of that, that my mission is to grow curiosity in the hearts and minds of young people. But of course, I have to be paid for. So as you learn more about me, I hope you'll get on my mailing list. I'm not quite done. Let's just see. I want to talk about one other thing. I think I still have. We started a little late. I'll give myself a little leeway. Two quick things. One is, I mentioned earlier about being there. And of course, we know that we're never quite there, but some of us have been in business longer than others. And I've been in business less than all of you. And I wonder, at some point in time, aren't you just solved and perfect? And isn't your business a solved Rubik's Cube? And you think, how can there be anything more to get right? I've got all these pieces. I have my data, I have my marketing, I have my product is honed. I'm perfect. So what's going to happen? Now, those of you who've been in business for a while, you know what I'm about to say. So if you see here, I have a solved Rubik's Cube, right? And on the other side is the other side of it, right? Solved Rubik's Cube, 3x3 Rubik's Cube. It's kind of a cute little one, right? But when we peel away the fog that hides the CEO and the levels of business success, what we see is, yeah, there's a solved 3x3 Rubik's Cube there, and there's a solved 3x3 Rubik's Cube there. But as you become more successful, and I've met many successful people, even in their spiritual and family lives, who know that the more better you get at what you're doing, what actually happens is the more layers you expose that you realize that you need to get right. The good thing is that your business functions really well just on that much. But you know when you're going to hit those next levels of numbers of employees, dollar amounts that you bring in, the sales you make, you're going to expose new things that you need to learn. So it's a great example to look at and realize how things work, and to keep in mind that we never really are the solved Rubik's Cube. In fact, I think the danger is to actually think you're this, and to relax will probably be the downfall of your company. So, one other story. Second grade class I went to, I heard that there was a young boy who could solve it there. And I'm always willing to race, but I've never really come across anybody who solved it under 2 minutes. I couldn't race somebody who took 10. It's a long time. So, and I knew there was this little boy, and the class was excited, and these are second graders, and I'm like, am I going to beat the second grader? What am I going to do?
Bully.
And right, I feel like I'm Kramer beating up all the second grade judo kids, you know, and being a champion. So I asked the teacher, and she said, no, you should just do your best. Okay, and the kids cheered him on, and he gets up next to me, and we scramble each other's cubes. And I'll tell you what, because I was so lousy there, I'm going to do a speed timing now, okay? So I'm still wearing a silly timing hat, so it's appropriate. Can we just do that real quick? And I'll tell you what happened with Timmy after one last solving. So are you ready?
Yeah. Tell me when you're ready.
I get to actually look at it. So if somebody looks at a cube before they solve it, that's allowed.
Okay.
Okay, you can say anytime.
Ready, get set, go.
Okay. Oh no. And my pride has gotten in the way.
You can do it.
I don't get under a minute, they don't pay me.
Oh,
Oh, okay, well,
Boy.
keep on going.
Wait a
Is that
second.
Chris Bryan out there?
Right. Wait, it's raining.
Yeah, that will not be in the contract, by the way. Okay, I will show you a fun one here. All right, I have two edges flipped, and that's really a weird thing to think of. There's two edges just flipped, and we solve them, and there we go. Okay.
A minute two.
A minute two.
I mean,
That's so didn't do as well as I
He's
thought I
taking
should do. I feel poorly.
Like
So I beat
right?
I beat Timmy soundly. I did. I beat him by like 40 seconds. So I ground him into the dirt, you know, this little second grade boy. Bully. And I was a bully. So he went and sat down. Of course, I encouraged him. You know that I was encouraging. I said, great, was awesome. I mean, did a minute 20, I mean, spectacular. So a little later, I kind of worked with the kids individually, and I asked him, you know, Timmy, I beat you pretty badly in 40 seconds. And he's looking at me, and so, you know, how do you feel about that? And he goes, it's okay, I did my best time ever. I was put in my place, and I struggle with fear of failure, and I struggle with wondering if I can make a living doing this, and we all struggle with that. And here's a little second grade boy who understood if he could go up against the best guy ever in his life, that it would push him faster than he'd ever been before. So I encourage all of you to do the best time in your life. The next time you meet a challenge, the next time you meet the competition, remember that little Timmy, because he did the best time ever. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I think it was probably hard when you first saw Ken. How is he going to connect this to business? Isn't that amazing? You did a great job. Thanks so much, Ken.